Let's bring in the host of the Ben Shapiro Show, Ben Shapiro. Ben, great to see you. Why is this happening, and how long will this last? Why suddenly the acceptance of one of the most famous people in the world? What changed?
I mean, I think that everybody is frankly relieved that President Trump was elected, not just because the Biden-Harris administration has been such a trash heap, but also because the recognition is by the general public and by the international community that Joe Biden is not there. Kamala Harris is not the president. Joe Biden is not the president. There is no president. And so there is a giant power vacuum at the center of American politics. And Donald Trump is not only there, he's been acting with alacrity to fill that power vacuum. This transition is moving faster than any transition in modern presidential history. He's already said who he's going to appoint. He already has people in conversation with foreign leaders. He's already doing the meetings. And I think the world has been experiencing an absence of America's role on the stage. And Donald Trump is filling that, and people are eager to deal with that. Also, there is this dirty secret, which is most people were pretty happy when he was president of the United States. That's true in the United States. It also happens to be true of a lot of these foreign leaders who supposedly are very angry that he was elected in the first place. There's a lot more sanguinity in Europe, in the Middle East. Things seem to be calming down because people know that there's going to be a steady hand in charge, and that hand actually is Donald Trump, despite them all freaking out about Donald Trump for years on end.
So his main focus is going to be the border. It's going to be immigration. And you had an exclusive story this week at the Daily Wire. We heard this was happening, but not at this pace. It looks like Joe Biden, and this is just flat out evil, is selling off pieces of the border wall that we paid for as taxpayers that's been waiting there for 4 years for Donald Trump to come back. This is true. We're seeing it on flatbeds. How serious is this?
I mean, it appears to be pretty serious. What we are hearing from people who are on the border, members of Border Patrol, the trucking company that's been taking away these pieces of the border wall, and then apparently these pieces of the border wall are being auctioned off by a government auction house called GovPlanet for something like $5 is the starting bid for a piece of the border wall. This is insane. And obviously there's only one reason that you would do this, and it's to get rid of the scrap material before Donald Trump can actually implement his plans. You'd be hard pressed to explain why else this is happening at this late date. If it were just that the materials had become defunct in some way, you would imagine that we wouldn't be waiting until a couple of weeks before Donald Trump takes office to auction them off. You would have started selling them off before they lost all of their value. The fact that all this stuff is being trucked out miles away from the border, at the very least, that's going to require the Trump administration to come in, truck it all right back down to the border and build the border wall. But it could be something more than that. It could be that these materials are gone, that it takes years or months to actually fulfill the orders for similar materials to rebuild all this border wall. It's insane. I can't see a plausible explanation for why this is happening, and the administration has given no explanation for why this is happening to our reporters at Daily Wire.
Right. It's just going to cost us more money because, Trump's going to build the wall anyway. Here's a Border Patrol agent, it was anonymous to you guys, says they're taking it from 3 stations, Nogales, Tucson, and 3 Points. The goal is to move all of it off the border before Christmas. They just started taking all the wall that was not used, which is totally good and usable, and they started taking it northbound. They're pulling it all off the border. It's unbelievable. I think Trump should pick up the phone and tell Joe to knock it off. I hope he does. Meanwhile, there's something else that's already happening before Trump took office. And are we looking at the end of DEI? Your thoughts?
Absolutely. I mean, this has been the great story of the last several years. The American people are done with it. And the Trump administration incoming is going to make it its full focus. Not only are you seeing corporate America move away from DEI, you're starting to see places like the SEC being chastised by the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals for having allowed NASDAQ to attempt to push DEI standards on companies. Companies felt that they could sort of pay off these left-wing interest groups by doing DEI, and now they realize they're losing profits, they're losing money, and they're losing the trust of the American people with this stuff. That's in the private sector. And then in the public sector, obviously the Trump administration is going to come in and clean house of all the DEI nonsense, and the American people are ready for it.
So, get this. University of Michigan, one of the first to invest heavily in this, say it's divided their campus. It made things worse. Ben, this is after spending $250 million. Then it turns out, according to the New York Post, the Biden Education Department spent $1 billion on various DEI programs. They unearthed some $490 million on DEI hiring, $343 million on DEI programming, $170 million on DEI mental health. This is absolute insanity.
It's crazy. It'll give Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy something to do with Doge. That's for damn sure. Well, one of the things that's amazing about this is how much the American people hate this. There's a poll from Manhattan Institute this week, and it showed that a majority of literally every group in the country, including Black Americans, thought that the DEI vision of society in which we treat races differently based on their race was wrong, and that we ought to be operating on the basis of, obviously, the Martin Luther King principle that we treat people individually based on what they are as individuals. A majority of every single demographic group in the United States believes that, except apparently the leadership of the Democratic Party.
It's going to be interesting to see all these nominations, things happen, him getting involved here and pushing programs that he finds popular. Notice we didn't talk about Democrat or Republican. We're just talking about common sense, practical things that he's going to start fixing, which is why America seems so relieved. Ben Shapiro, thanks so much.